Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. Up right in corner we have Tom starting as the purple Zerg. Bottom left in corner we got Spaniard starting as the mustard yellow Protoss. This is going to be on Eclipse, which old school map, and you got that nice even divide across the middle where I almost want to call it like, what do we call it, like the urban side, where you have the farming that can and the tilling that can happen on the earth versus the industrial side. Urban's maybe the wrong word. Urban suggests city, right? Rural. You got the rural side. The uncultivated yet. You got the salt of the earth side with lots of, you can see the bones in the soil, which means there was good things to, anyway, and then you have the steel plating and everything like that on the other end. And all the concrete jungle. Not sure that it smells great on the other end of this. Kind of curious what Zerg smell like. I would imagine that Zerg actually smell pretty decent. It's especially they work with like the entire pheromone thing. Maybe that's how they get the infested humans at the end of the day. Anyway, game 2, Spaniard opting to go for more macroeconomic play, and Tom not able to keep up. A decent zealot attack in the middle of the game. Spaniard going for, is he up to something? So he dropped the pylon. He's avoiding the Overlord Scout and swinging all the way underneath. We are seeing an overpool. Probes can oftentimes be very, very vicious at early stages. It could be he was hoping that the Overlord was going to try to keep track of the probe scout, and that would depict an overpool versus as an expansion. And if he kept the probe out of view, maybe he'd be able to disrupt that natural expansion. But instead is in fact going to see the overpool. Very common on this map just because of the amount of harassment initial probe can succeed in accomplishing. Yeah, the drone trying to make its way out. Should be delayed. Spaniard, yep, there's one delay. Second try, nope, denied again. You know how they have the meme of that dog that's like, oh, there you got it. You know how they have the meme of the dog that's like zooming across another dog? That's what that always reminds me of. Single photon cannon drop just in case. Looks like we do have a pair of Zerglings, so 4 total, that will be fielded. And that is going to delay the Nexus a bit. Nexus is going to be dropped shortly here from Spaniard. 4 Zerglings out. Let's see if Spaniard, one thing that was really successful for Spaniard in game 2 was keeping this probe scout alive for an extended period of time. And part of that was the Zerglings making their way to the front and one of them expending their lives. Wow, Tom actually making a point of wiping out that probe this time. I think wisely so. Third base constructed. Whenever you have a situation like this, yeah, you force another probe, first of all, but also it just puts your Protoss opponent in very uneasy territory. But we'll see if Spaniard can keep that out. I think he potentially previously, actually, it looks like he actually queued up that worker before the first one died, because it is on a... And let's see if are there Zerglings? There are Zerglings staged near the natural. They're going to try to set up a blockade, but I think it's on the move where it's going to be able to just walk straight across, so it'll take damage. Yeah, that's kind of a trick you can pull, where if you grab a probe really fast and you click on the mineral line, it can just sail right across without collision. Something unique to workers there. But Tom, I think recognizing the problems of game 1 and his lack of wiping out the probe scout, attempting in game 2 to do the same. The probe going to go ahead and meander down to try to get a look at the drone saturation here at the natural expansion. Well, maybe not. I'm gonna cycle back around, but he's seeing the layer, so he knows it's at least going to be 3-hatch layer. In the meantime, Tom dedicating an Overlord into the main to see the cybernetics core construction. We do have zealots, no +1 weapons queued up, however. And Spaniard sitting at 3 workers. I think I missed another probe kill while I wandered away momentarily. In the meantime, it looks like Tom was thinking about going for 4-hatch, but instead is, now that he's killed that probe, is going to cancel the lair, drop a Hydralisk Den, and go for a bust. And Spaniard, with the amount of dedicated scouting he's done, certainly has to feel at this stage that, okay, I'm not facing a Hydralisk bust. The problem for Tom in trying to execute this is it's coming very, very late. And the Stargate is halfway finished. The Corsair will be out well before the Hydralisks are ready to attack, because usually you have to wait for those upgrades, and those upgrades take quite a bit of time. So unless Spaniard, well, I guess one trick might be is if Spaniard is overconfident in his scouting and goes for the Overlord at the nearby location rather than fielding across the map. And also if he delays on building that Corsair. There's the Corsair building. So Zerglings are making the way down, but the Hydralisks, yeah, gotta wait a little bit. And the other thing is the Spaniard's also spending a lot of his money. He just went for an additional gateway. He needs to bank, and he's going for Citadel of Adun before saving that cash. It is actually going to let the Zealots do the scouting for him. This is actually going to be fantastic for him. So 3 Zealots. Never mind, the Zealot, okay, attacking Zerglings a little bit and scattering the way across. But these Zealots should be able to make their way up and see the Hydralisks. Where's the Corsair? Corsair making its way across. Maybe I was wrong about the Corsair, because, yeah, their Hydralisk speed is finished, but Hydralisks need to see these Hydralisks as they're making the way across. Thank you for the raid, by the way, Black Man. Okay, Julian. So sees the Hydralisk, but does he have enough? I think these cannons are coming down too late. The Zealots are scrambling back. Probes are certainly going to have to be pulled. He wants probably 5 cannons against this. At least 4. I think with this amount of Hydralisks, 4, but those cannons are not yet finished. So I guess I was wrong on that timing. I take it back. Spaniard missing it a bit. Probe's pulling off the line, but can't get across. Cannon's still not up. And the Corsair not active on top of it. So the Corsair's not attacking Overlords behind this to try to pin units back. But Tom not doing the best job of focusing anything down. He didn't focus down the cannons, mostly engaged Zealots, and had a lot of wandering around without attacking. So misses an opportunity. And is now making his way to at least assault the Forge. I don't think he's going to get this Forge before +1 weapons finishes, though. It's a difficult situation where there's just odd... The placement on the front can be challenging. That Hydralisk too deep. But should be able to get the gateway in the Forge after a bit. Actually, this is going to be close. We're going to keep an eye on that. Never mind, I take it back. I thought that wasn't going to be in time. But this might... I don't think it finished. It did not finish. Half a second left. Insane. So Tom able to snipe that. Now is going to go transition into the 5 hatcheries, but has a decent contain already set up outside of Spaniard's base. 6 cannons are there. Zealot leg speeds are being built. We have a whole bunch of gateways getting dropped. Oh! Tom pulling the trigger, making his way forward. Few probes pulling off the line. I don't think that's enough though, and I don't think this is enough Hydralisks to bust through this. So Tom able to kill a few, well, force a little bit of delayed mining, able to get a few of the cannons. But yeah, doesn't have the raw amount of Hydralisks to break the front. Maybe he wants to force Spaniard to drop additional thing. And Spaniard actually not doing a great job of getting those probes back to work. So yeah, more cannons getting dropped. More delay. Is Tom thinking about doing an economic switch is the other question. Going for Evolution Chamber. Also has that lair. If he keeps a couple of these units, I think he'll be in a pretty good position. We do have a couple High Templar queued up and some Psystorm. Might be in an okay position to go for a contain. Right now, expended a lot of these Hydralisks, however, but not in that bad an economic position. 34 workers versus 40. Pretty solid spot. 3 bases up, accidentally queuing up that hatchery. Corsair is able to see the saturation across a lot of these bases, and he knows he's going up against 5 hatch right this second. But I think Spaniard should be able to, after another round, be able to break out, and I think he's going to be able to break out before the lurkers are really in place to go for a solid contain. Spaniard now getting active with that Corsair, taking a bit of damage. Really, he just needs to keep an eye. Was able to at least see the saturation here to the north. We have a Dark Templar wandering out. Took some damage earlier, actually missed it out in the field. How did it sneak out on the field? I really missed that. When did it even have an opportunity to sneak out on the field? Corsair trying to drive some of these Overlords off. Create a bit of havoc. Also, we have a Spire dropping in the midst of this. Dark Templar just waiting for an opportunity. Not going to get it, though. All sorts of High Templar out in the front, so Spaniard is pretty well boxed in. Supply count's about even, which is not what you want. Looks like a couple of the Hydralisks being drawn. That Corsair does, in fact, fall. Dark Templar trying to make its way in. I was about to say made it out with a sneeze of health, but it looks like it is in fact going to die. These Hydralisks look like they were initially spread to potentially morph into Lurkers, backing a little bit further off the line, however. But I'm wondering if we're going to see a... We do have the Spire a bit late, so I'm wondering if Tom is thinking about going for a Hydralisk switch, or a Mutalisk switch, I should say, in the midst of this. If he was thinking that, he's certainly not banking the gas to do so. Instead, I think what he might do is sit back and go for more macro orientation. The Zealots now scattering up to the 9 o'clock. Spaniard actually able to get that 4 o'clock up pretty effectively. The thing is I don't know that he can storm at, no pun intended, I don't think he can stop a 4th going up for Tom either, but I don't know if Tom recognizes that this 9 o'clock base is going up. Hydros are starting to make their way that direction. There is an Overlord to in fact spot it. Just a pylon there, so actually able to halt it. The Zealots streaming their way across. We do have High Templar underneath the High Templar. Wow, I was about to say they're kind of extending themselves where they could easily be sniped, but instead, walking their way out. Lurker eating a single storm right there. There's one picked off, second one's picked off. We have no observer on the front. So the Zealots actually attacking amidst these Hydralisks, taking a good amount of splash damage. Nice job from Tom actually trying to draw the Zealots back to the Lurkers. And still hasn't dropped that 9 o'clock. See if more reinforcements make their way that direction. Interesting decision to opt for the Spire regardless. Maybe he was just worried about a Corsair switch. Lurkers, ooh, this is very dangerous. Are they going to try to push their way in? We have a Photon Cannon starting to morph. More Hydros make their way to the 9 o'clock. Big game-deciding moment right this second. I don't even know that Spaniard's going to walk up the... He's got some units, but he doesn't have a... He does have an observer queued up, but I don't think he's got a lot of vision otherwise. And yeah, the Zealots just eating a ton of damage on that bottom of the ramp. They've been peeled out. Now Tom could just walk up, take out that front cannon. Yeah, everything canceled, and that might be GG right there. Lurkers also sneaking their way forward. Spaniard at least had a degree of control at the natural expansion, but that's evaporating as well. Now Tom with the supply lead, he can just reposition all of these Hydralisks back to the natural. You can see he's reinforcing this heavily. I think Spaniard recognizes this is as good as it's going to get as far as an escape plan. So killing some units, at least trying to keep some units alive on the map, but instead expending a lot of the Zealots. Ooh, some good Side Storms. Great Side Storms here initially. Final one, not the best. Only a single Hydralisk getting munched there. Also lost the Observer, which means these Lurkers are going to be a continual thorn in the side, but at least escaping with something out here. Unfortunately, it's going to get hunted down fairly rapidly. Hydralisks and High Templar versus, or I should say, Dragoons and High Templar versus a bunch of Hydralisks is not the precise combination you're looking for in small numbers. Spaniard continuing to try to rally out. He recognizes that this could be a death knell situation. Good Side Storms on some bunched up troops here to the north. Kind of some, I don't know if those are blind Side Storms if the Observer spotted it, but this is still a lot of Lurkers on the forward field, and this is a lot of Side Storm being expended. Tom not spending his resources all that efficiently, however. In the midst of this, he's got a big macro lead. He's got Spaniard on the rails, but doesn't have the troops quite on the front. Still a single Observer left over, and it's going to get pushed back, and that might have been it. Now we have everything streaming across the map to potentially reinforce. We got another wave of Zealots. Overlord's a bit out of position to help snipe. We have 3 Observers, actually, so I don't think this is going to be an Observer snipe win. Tom not gathering his troops right now, kind of moving them in piecemeals, now focusing on the Observers. Some good Side Storms for follow-up, so Spaniard making a really good game of this, but just moving a slight bit out of position. And those units again getting swatted and pushed back. The Observer making its way to the north wants to see the general situation. Tom expanding to the 12 o'clock location in the midst of this. That's going to put him several bases ahead. It's do or die. Beautiful Side Storm right there. Another gorgeous Side Storm. So Spaniard should be able to breach. Now he's got to get on the assault and bowl over a lot of these troops. He's still, yeah, he's actually at an upgrade deficit, so needs to be really efficient with these Side Storms. And I don't know that he's got enough High Templar to turn the tides of a lot of these battles. Starting to draw back, looking to recouple. That is going to cause another gathering. Unfortunately, he doesn't have Sidestorm to expend right this moment. More lurkers burrowing, trying to make his way, even if he gets the units up to the 9 o'clock. Yeah, he's trying to bully that probe up to the 9 o'clock just to get something rolling as far as a third base. He's got about 2 minutes before his main is going to be mined out, and that will be it. Tom can just start throwing troops. Kind of a reverse of the situation of game 2. The upgrade situation is going to switch momentarily here. We're +2 weapons, +1 armor. Or sorry, +1 weapons, +2 armor. Will be finished momentarily. Tom, while keeping Spaniard occupied, is doing a great job of expanding top left. Unfortunately for Tom, he keeps sending in just small pockets of troops rather than overwhelming forces, so not really a true contain. Spaniard is going to be able to go ahead and get that 9 o'clock up. But this is still going to be beneficial for Tom if he can start saturating these additional bases. Yeah, Heidel's kind of pushing out of position. The Observer untouched now. We do have an Overlord trying to make its way out in the field to pick off that Observer. The lurkers are already, there's a single lurker being morphed behind, but the lurkers have otherwise been expended. And even honestly, in these small groupings, Tom is still in a good scenario where even with a small attack troop, like pushing in, picking off a few units because of his position, because this third's not yet up, he's still in a really good spot. Lurker getting a lot of free damage underneath this. And High Templar look like they're in the forward field. There's one Sidestorm left, but it might get picked off. Is it? Okay, it's going to be able to sneak out with just a sliver of health. Oh, don't walk back to the Lurker! Okay, is going to be able to Sidestorm the Lurker underneath. A single Hydralis making its way to the 9 o'clock. Probably won't find anything there. Tom with a lot of resources to spare. Can drone up pretty heavily. This is going to be a 4th gas, and he's got a 5th gas on the wings. And usually 3 gas, 4 gas Zerg is scary. 5 gas Zerg, forget about it. Forget about it. Spaniard, if he's going to win this game at this stage, needs to go for some massive counterattacks someplace. Hive is up, by the way. Adrenal upgrade up. Defiler Mound starting to plant. And right now, Spaniard either needs to just literally take the entirety of the map underneath Tom's nose, which he literally doesn't have the resources to do, or he needs to take out the 1 o'clock and the 12, or sorry, reverse that, 1 o'clock and 12 o'clock simultaneously, and then clean up top left as an afterthought. Or if he could magically push all the way up to the natural expansion, get a kill there. I don't see that happening though. Clearing out a few units to the north. Looks like a Zealot has managed to wander up and get some drone kills, so Spaniard at least getting something out of this. And this is honestly kind of a suicide. The Protoss army, before going into this one, they had one of those like silent montage moments where they were all sitting in the truck as they were being transported, and they were just quiet and kind of hunched over and rocking themselves a little bit, because this is a tall order right here. Not a lot of Sidestorm left, a bunch of army sitting outside the natural. Zerg is absolutely massive at this stage, as close to the supply lead. Spaniards somehow, I think it's because of the lack of gas, the gas blockade for Tom at various points in this. Zerglings streaming the way across, might want to try to shoot at the 9 o'clock without a lurker, or sorry, without a Defiler to support. Probably won't get a lot accomplished there. Nice job from Spaniard, clearing out units and actually making their way up. They're going to be able to take this. I think they might be able to go ahead and take this upper 9 o'clock base. And all of a sudden, Tom making a mad dash towards the upper left-hand corner, dropping a bunch of sunken colonies to try to defend this. This is the maneuver I was saying Spaniard needed to execute earlier. Unfortunately, now Tom's in position to defend a lot of it. He's done a great job with, Tom's done a great job with vision. You can see where he just sees absolutely everything out on the map. So Spaniard going to try to cap, so he needs to cap this base and take out top left, and again, maybe take out either 11 or 12 o'clock now that he's grabbing this additional base, making his way in. Lurkers are already in place. Looks like well, he's got some lurkers that are not burrowed here. Are the rest of the units going to come? The units just keep coming piecemeal, so Spaniard might be able to wipe this base out. Sun colonies trying to do what they can. Lot of Psystorm. Drones now evacuating. So Spaniard, it looks like he is going to be able to take out top left. And we got some Zealots that have managed to stream in somehow to the 12 o'clock base. So Spaniard doing it right now. shutting down the 12 o'clock, really thinning out the drones there, is going to be able to wipe out top left. And now it's just a bit of a walk to go ahead and wipe out this base as well. Also establishing the 9 o'clock base. So suddenly, where honestly I thought Tom had this locked, Spaniard swinging it, completely shifting the trajectory of this match. Tom getting potentially desperate. It looks like he wants to go for a strike at the natural expansion. We have a lot of probes, by the way, that have not yet transferred. We've got another army that's just spawned. Is he going to try to swing? It looks like he might want to go for a dive at the 9 o'clock. He's got defilers here. He's got some Dark Swarm. Might be able to wipe this space out. The Zerglings are going ahead of the Dark Swarm, unfortunately. Zealots are going to have to do some heavy lifting here. And unfortunately, these fresh... It doesn't look like the Alderan amulet upgrade was there, so these fresh High Templar are walking in without any Side Storm under their belt. Looks like this... Oh, and a lot of these units moving up just to take some free damage. There are somewhere some High Templar managing to get some energy in the midst of this. Archons... A single Archon doesn't cut it. A group of Archons, they can get the splash damage done. Tom now assaulting that upper 9 o'clock base and is going to be able to wipe that out before it was even running. And Spaniard keeps moving his troops back and forth across this lurker field. So where it looked like Spaniard had regained his footing, Tom all of a sudden in a 1-2 punch, completely shifting the tides, and that is going to be GG. Tom will advance 1-1, and Spaniard will continue in the 0-2 bracket. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for listening.